In this video, I'm going to attempt to convince you to read the Handbook Wizard's Guide the Frugal Wizard's Hand Guide to Surviving Medieval London, England. The Frugal Wizard's Hand Guide to Surviving Medieval London. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna read it. The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. My only complaint about this book is that I can't say the title. It's too long, but wow. This is a 5-star read. This is one of the secret projects that came out last year, 2023. This is phenomenal. Please don't miss it. This does fall under the sci-fi genre, which I typically don't like. I don't like sci-fi. I much prefer fantasy. I love all of Sanderson's fantasy books, so I was very skeptical. I went in kind of hesitant because also I've heard a lot of negative reviews on this book. I don't know why. I don't get it. Somebody explain. If you've read this book and you hate it, please leave me a comment and explain because I simply don't get it. I respect your opinion. I just disagree with you. I thought this was wonderful. I thought this was great. I tore through this in less than a week, which is saying a lot because I'm a very slow reader. But this is a wonderful book. And I'm so proud to say that I own one of these special editions because I participated in the Kickstarter last year. I'm just embarrassed that it took me so long to read it. So just because I want to show them off, oh my gosh, these are actually very heavy. These are the secret projects that came out last year. I have read Tress, The Sunlit Man, and now The Frugal Wizard. I have yet to read Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, but it's coming. This is going to happen because I don't know if I can wait any longer. I've heard that Yumi is actually a fan favorite. People tend to like this one the best out of all the secret projects. So really, I kind of had the idea of saving best for last, but I don't know how. I don't know how Yumi is going to possibly top the Wizard's Handbook Guide, Frugal England, Medieval. I don't know. The Frugal Wizard. I don't know how Yumi could possibly top this one because this was so good. Now, I'm a huge Sanderson fan. Obviously, I'm wearing all the shirts and everything. I have all the merch. I have everything. I have it all. I love this one. Tress of the Emerald Sea. I thought this was going to be my favorite. This is the first one that I read of his in regards to the secret projects, and I absolutely love this. But I gotta say, I think I like this one more. Actually, I know I like this one more. Sunlit Man. Okay, first of all, love the sprayed edges, the black spray. Oh, gorgeous. I like this. This one wasn't my favorite. I'll be the first to admit that. I gave this a 4 stars. It was not my favorite of Sanderson's. Still a banger of a book. That's what the kids are saying nowadays, right? Banger of a book. So good. This is the only wild card. I don't know yet, but I cannot wait to dive in. Simply can't wait. Now this one, this is just stunning. I've talked about this on my channel before, but Sanderson is the only author that can write action scenes in a way that gives me chills because it is so fantastical. It is so awesome. It's just a full body experience, honestly. And I'm so absorbed in the scenes that he writes that I just simply can't stop. I love the way that he decided to end this one. If you haven't heard anything about this book, I'm going to be vague because I don't want to spoil anything. But this does, of course, fall under the sci-fi genre. Now, it starts with a man who wakes up in a field, zero recollection of who he is. He has no memories, and he has to discover who the heck he is. What is he doing in this foreign place? He has a handbook that does provide clues as to who he was, what his mission was, what were his objectives in coming to this place, this world. This book, something happened to it. It pretty much exploded and it is in pieces. So he has bits and pieces of his history and he has to try to discover who he was. It's such a fun journey. There are some quotes that I found extremely profound in this book. Let me give you an example. There is a quote here about knowledge. It says, "It was knowledge. Yes, this knowledge is often attached to the arcane or unseen in the stories. But what is magic but a science not yet discovered?" That says a lot about this book. There are technological advancements that could appear magical to somebody who doesn't understand the science behind whatever contraption that they're talking about. I think that's a huge theme in here, which is really quite awesome. Technology can appear like magic to somebody who doesn't understand mechanics or the engineering behind it all. And here we go again with that same theme. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So I love the parallels between technology and magic. Definitely a good theme explored in this book. The next quote has to do with dignity. If you happen to have the same copy of this book, I'm looking at 368, where the main character is saying, "I'd assumed an eventual rematch would be a way to take back my dignity. Turns out, nobody can take that from you. You've got to throw it away." I love that, and that retaining your dignity comes down to a choice. One of my other favorite quotes is actually at the very end of the book, so I'm not going to share it with you because it's somewhat of a spoiler, so you'll have to read and find out. As the great Sanderson says, Raffo, read and find out. Now, I can't end this video without talking to you about the artwork. The artwork in here, illustrations by Steve Argyle. He did a fantastic job. You know what? I should have started with this because I think this in and itself should be enough to convince you. Look how amazing this artwork is. It's so good. I love a lot of this artwork, just stunning. I also love the color scheme too. I love that everything is in blue. It's so pretty. Okay, I'm not gonna share too many of the illustrations with you for fear of spoiling anything, but wow, I'm so impressed. Okay, I can share this one with you because I just think that is awesome. If you did participate in the Kickstarter, you'll have received a bookmarker that has this image on it. So amazing. And then lastly, I'm just gonna show you this part too. This is so good. If you are a Sanderson fan, you need to read this book. If you don't know Brandon Sanderson, what are you doing? You need to go read his books. Start with this one. This one actually doesn't fall under the Cosmere, his own little universe. This is totally on its own. This is a sci-fi novel, which he typically writes fantasy. Not to say that he hasn't written sci-fi, because he has. If you haven't read the Skyward series, that one's phenomenal. I still have to read the fourth one. I've read the first three and enjoyed all of them. I enjoyed the first and third the most. The second one was okay, but I still really enjoyed it. Still need to read the fourth one, but that's another one of his more sci-fi type novels. It's young adult, but oh my gosh, I enjoyed it as an adult. I'm pretty sure that you would too. Another thing that I have to discuss is Brandon Sanderson's humor. I love Sanderson's humor in all of his books. This is a nice balance where it's lighthearted enough to be enjoyable, but it's not overwhelming. Now, I'm going to say, I'm not a huge Douglas Adams fan, the guy who wrote the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That was too much satire. That was too much overwhelming overload on the humor, where it's like, okay, every single line doesn't need to be funny. Every single line doesn't need to be some kind of inside joke. Every single line does not to be sarcastic. It was just too much. I was overwhelmed. I didn't really enjoy those books, but I think I'm in the minority there because I think a lot of people really do like those books. I feel like Sanderson kind of writes similarly to Terry Pratchett, which I still need to read more Terry Pratchett. I've read enough of Terry Pratchett to know that I like his style, I like his humor, but Sanderson is similar to where it's a nice balance of we still get the great story with a lot of sprinkled in humor, but it's not overwhelming and it's not too little. Also, my romance readers, there is romance in here. Okay, it's not like the main plot, but it's definitely in there, so I think you'll really enjoy it. It's one of his more romantic novels. Sanderson is not a romance author. He is a sci-fi or fantasy author, but this has some great romance. I really liked it. There is, of course, the classic Brandon Sanderson. There's also the classic Brandon Sanderson Sanderlanche, as they call it, or the twist that you should have seen coming, but you probably didn't. There's enough foreshadowing to indicate that you should have guessed it. I'm guessing you probably didn't, because I didn't. If I haven't said it already, this is a 5-star book. This is a 10-star book. Give it all the stars. I had 0 problems with this. 0. I'm trying to think. I don't have a single complaint about this. I thought this was so freaking good. I loved it. Now, my whole goal was to convince you to read this book, and I hope that I've done that. Leave me a comment. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts. I want to have a conversation with people who have read this book, or if I've convinced you to read it, that would make my day. Let me know. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please feel free to do so at this time. Stay up to date on bookish content. I think it's going to be pretty heavy content on Brandon Sanderson, probably for the rest of the year, because Wind and Truth comes out, Stormlight number 5 in December. So I'm really in the mood to read Sanderson. Thanks for sticking with me so far. Let me know if I've convinced you to read the Frugal Wizard's Handbook Guide to Medieval London, England. Dang it, I will never get this title right. Read this book, and I'll catch you on the flip side.